Are we live? Steve?
Yes, Dana, we're live. Hi, everybody. You get a little glimpse into my life for the 30 seconds or so immediately preceding showtime. It's just Dana going, Steve, are we live?
Are we live? Are we live,
Are
Steve? Steve,
Are we live?
Is
We
it
are
soup yet?
live. Welcome, everybody. As you have perhaps deduced by the title of the stream and by my social media posts promoting it, we are going to be watching one of my very favorite episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine tonight, from season 3, episode 22, Explorers. So if you have not already done so, please have that queued up and paused at 0 and ready to go. So when we start watching in a few minutes, we can all be synced up and
Yay.
watch it together. But in the meantime, we have our traditional little bit of chitter chatter.
Yeah.
So I know you haven't been feeling very good.
No.
You have been under the weather for like a week now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you are feeling. You told me this morning when we talked, you're feeling a little better.
Mm-hmm.
which I'm very glad to hear.
I'm so confused. Why was that funny?
Because you were giving me very short answers. Just
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Uh-huh.
You're narrating it for me. Oh.
And you okay?
Can you do Morgan Freeman's voice?
Oh God, no! I wish. I would be narrating everything. And they crawled
Andrew,
through
just
a
like
river
watch
of
it on
shit.
like fast. So yeah, the thing is, I had a sinus infection, and I ruptured my left eardrum, which is bad. But fortunately, it will heal on its own. I don't need like surgery or anything. Yay!
Yeah, I guess like when you hear, I ruptured my eardrum, that sounds like incredibly serious, but actually, in your case,
not.
it just needs time to heal.
Mm-hmm. Or. Oh, what's his name?
Are you trying to think of someone else who is like a famous narrating person?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, you
Guy.
have to. Oh, well, Philip Kehoe said Werner Herzog.
No.
Ooh.
The guy from Five Guys in a Limo.
5 Guys in a Limo. I have never even not only have I never watched that, I have never even heard of that.
Hang on.
Andrew, yeah. See, I didn't even make that pun on purpose. Eardrum sounds serious. Yeah, see that?
Excuse me. It was 5 Men and a Limo.
I still have never heard of that.
5 Men in a Limo is a 1997 American short film produced by Aspect Ratio. This is according to Wikipedia. As an introduction sketch for the 26th annual The Hollywood Reporter Key Art Awards. In the film, voiceover actor Don LaFontaine picks up 4 other voiceover actors in his limo to travel to the awards. Now,
Don LaFontaine, the announcer of announcers, absolutely.
Now, have you seen that?
I have not seen. I told you. I've
okay,
never
y'all,
heard of it.
we are finishing up the stream so that I can show Steve this short afterwards. Because I did not know that you'd never seen that. I thought you watched it.
I know. I don't believe so. Is it online somewhere? Because I will totally watch it with you after the stream.
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Yeah. You're sure it's on YouTube? I mean, well, hopefully. But yeah, Don LaFontaine. Actually, I remember because, Don LaFontaine was like one of the most prolific announcers for decades.
He's the inner world guy.
He did movie trailers. He was like the announcer for TV shows and stuff. And I never knew his name until he was the announcer for the show Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, hosted by Jonathan Frakes.
Nerd.
And for some reason, I don't know if it was in his contract, if Don LaFontaine said, "Look, I'll do this, but I need a little bit more than you usually give me." So instead of,
You know what I want? I want the credit.
yeah, well, but and not only does he, I mean, I think he always got credit. I just never noticed it. But he actually said he gets to announce himself. But
Oh,
at the
what fun.
end, like at the end of the show, he says, you know, join us next time for more stories of beyond belief. This is Don LaFontaine. And like, I was like, oh, that's his name. You know?
Silly Jean, that's really cool and sounds like something that would not actually be true.
Don LaFontaine spoke at your high school graduation. I forget. I forget his name now, which makes me feel bad. But the father of Paul Thomas Anderson, one of my favorite filmmakers, but his dad was a network TV announcer for many years. And if you ever watched like sitcoms on ABC, like in the 80s and 90s, he was usually the guy who would like come in with the voiceover over the closing credits and tell you like what was coming up next or promo something that was happening later. And so he was that guy. And I wish I could remember his name, but there's a really great YouTube video of him from back in the day. And it's like a blooper, kind of like the Casey Kasem blooper where he's like, stop, you know, stop trying to have me pitch from an upbeat song to a fucking dead dog dedication, right? It's kind of like that, but it's Paul Thomas Anderson's dad, and they've just given him a lot of copy that he has to read in like 10 seconds. Like they want him to just promo like 2 or 3 different things over the end credits of the show, and he's got like 10 seconds to do it. And it takes him, Ernie Anderson, thank you, Philip. Ernie Anderson. And it takes him like 3 or 4 takes to get it right. And in between, he's like, God damn it. How the fuck are you supposed to say this? It's just, oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Ah, the suffering of other people. Isn't it great?
Yeah. Well, and it just goes to show, because I know like, as a writer, you don't always think about it. And especially when you're just writing like, you know, promo copy, you're like, okay, we have this many things to promote, we have this much time to do it, here's what it is. But even when you're doing something creative, like if you're writing a script and you're writing words that people will eventually have to say, you don't always think this is going to be tough for people to say. You know, like I remember I wrote a movie that we did with Neon Reel Entertainment. I didn't write the whole thing from top to bottom. I did like a pretty significant rewrite on the script, and I didn't realize until we were actually shooting it that I was like, you know, because I had given a lot of dialogue to our star, who was playing like the lead character and was actually the only professional actor in the production. We had enough money to hire one actor, and we got, and he was amazing. Clayton Myers, by the way. Hi, Clayton. Really cool guy. Had a great time hanging out with him on set. And but I had given him a ton of dialogue, and I didn't realize until the day that we started shooting. I was like, oh fuck, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. You know.
If somebody's got a dog, it's probably our neighbors.
Yeah, the dog, the uncontrollable outside dog.
I read you that poem, right? The neighbor's dog will not stop barking.
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Billy Collins, you know, that famous barking dog coda for which Beethoven first gained renown. Actually, we've got time.
Oh, you're gonna find the poem? Yes, 255 AD, Clayton Stalker Myers. That's him. That's him. He's in LA now. He was he's originally from he's not from Hagerstown. I think he's originally from Frederick, which is about half an hour from here. But then not too long after he worked with us, he moved to New York, and now I think he's in LA full time. But fantastic guy, and just ridiculously talented. I don't know why he hasn't become more of a star, because I mean, I think he works, he's able to get work, but I mean, he's not like a huge star, but I mean,
Well,
he's great.
because I mean, it's not just about hard work; it's also about luck.
That's absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so anyway, did you find this poem?
So yes, this poem is by one of our poet laureates, Billy Collins, and it's called "Another Reason I Don't Keep a Gun in the House."
Another reason.
I love the title. The neighbor's dog will not stop barking. He is barking the same high, rhythmic bark that he barks every time they leave the house. They must switch him on their way out. The neighbor's dog will not stop barking. I close all the windows in the house and put on a Beethoven symphony, full blast, but I can still hear him muffled under the music, barking, 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 and now I can see him sitting in the orchestra, his head raised confidently as if Beethoven had included a part for barking dog. When the record ends, he is still barking. Sitting there in the oboe section barking, his eyes fixed on the conductor who is entreating him with his baton while the other musicians listen in respectful silence to the famous barking dog solo, that endless coda that first established Beethoven as an innovative genius. I love Billy Collins so much.
Yeah, it's great the way it picks up that thread and just follows it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like listening to the dog, listening to the record of Beethoven, still hearing the dog. Where could that go? Oh, the dog. Now the dog's in the orchestra. It just now the record's over and the dog's still going. So this must be a solo. Like it's
David Corrigan. We're old, and so is Billy Collins. That's so the point of that.
Once upon a time in the dark ages, when we had just pulled ourselves out of the caves. We had just invented fire, and this was long before, streaming music or even MP3s or even CDs, or dare I say it, even
recently
cassettes.
After extincting the dinosaurs.
It was the meteor struck, and then somebody invented a way to record sound onto a cylinder, or not a cylinder. Well, actually, cylinders originally,
but then they cut the cylinders into slices.
Yes, like bologna. And they said, and they recorded them onto flat discs of shellac or vinyl. And these were called records because they contained recordings. Well, David, I don't see what your experience with firearms has to do with anything. You see what I did there?
He keeps a gun in the house.
I made a clever transposition of 45. Mm-hmm. He intended it to mean,
and I connected it back to the record,
poem. Right?
With the poem, with the gun in the house.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Teamwork.
We're just brilliant. High five.
Andrew, wait a minute. Records weren't a thing back in '85? I beg to differ, sir. I mean, they may no longer. I think by '85 they had been
eclipsed.
They had been eclipsed by cassettes, and CDs were on the way up as far as like the dominant format. But records were still widely available, and like new albums were still, released on vinyl as a matter of course, well into the '80s. So I beg to differ, sir.
Oh, sorry to Favedi.
David C. Drake, no, I don't think the Borg would assimilate less intelligent species. It's actually, it's one of my favorite jokes from Star Trek Voyager. No, they wouldn't. I'm telling you.
Yes, they would. Fuck you. Yes, they would. Sorry.
Please, go ahead. You said a swear for free. Okay, listen. Finish your point that you interrupted me to make, and then I'll go back and tell the story that I was going to tell.
Well, they assimilate to gain useful traits. Intelligence is one
Okay.
useful trait, but like, you know, if there were dragons in Star Trek and they could like breathe fire, that's a useful trait. It's
True.
useful to be able to do that, even if the dragons aren't like sapient, you know?
That makes sense.
So,
So actually, this could work with what I'm about to say, because there was an
okay.
episode of Voyager. There's an alien species in Voyager called the Kazon that were kind of like an early antagonist for the gallant crew of the Starship Voyager. Then after the first couple seasons, they got left behind, and you didn't really see the Kazon anymore. But they were not a very impressive villain. Like nobody really liked them. They weren't like, it's not like anybody was saying, "Oh, the Kazon are in this episode." Like nobody gave a shit. And a few years after the Kazon had been kind of phased out as villains, there was a line in after Seven of Nine had come on the show, and somebody asked her like, you know, why had the Borg never assimilated the Kazon? And she said they were evaluated and determined to be unworthy of assimilation. So I was just like, yeah, we all pretty much knew that. But it might have been a funny gag if, like, after Seven had said that, you saw like a Borg dog, and then there could be a Kazon standing nearby going, "Oh, come on. Like, you took the dogs, but you didn't take us?"
Okay. So they only go after tech. Okay.
It depends. It depends. Originally, the Borg were explicitly after technology, and that was it. But eventually, it became the line that the Borg would say when they first contacted you was, "We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own." So, yeah, if there are dragons in Star Trek, and the Borg were like, we want to be able to be dragons," you know,
Or
I
like,
guess they
you
would
know, the
assimilate some
ability
dragons.
of, you know, some fungi to like communicate almost seemingly telepathically. Like the Borg would be like, yes. Although they can kind of already do that. So they might be like, we got that. We're covered.
Yeah.
We're good. So Kane, exactly.
Yeah,
All
well, I
right.
mean,
Well,
as does everything.
pretty much. Since I
So,
am not feeling good
yes.
and we have a short film to watch after this,
Yes, indeed.
why don't we go ahead and start the show?
Alrighty, let's do it.
I've heard it's good.
This is one of my favorite episodes, and I will be very interested to talk to you about it afterwards to get your response, because I
No
really like
pressure.
this one. No, there's never any pressure. I
I know.
honestly, I hope that you like it, but if you do not like it, I don't take it personally.
You won't shun me
That's
forever.
no, no. I mean, if you don't like The Visitor, I will definitely shun you forever, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
I'm kidding about that too.
Okay.
I'm just joking. Just giving you a
255
little,
ID, I
giving you
wouldn't
a little
mind that, but I
razzmatazz.
have no idea how long it's going to take me to find the sucker.
Yeah.
Hey, Caitlin. All right. You ready? Count us down.
All right.
In. Thing.
Everybody get ready. So once again, Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 22, Explorers. I will count us in from 3. I'll do 3, 2, 1, play. We all hit play when I say play. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we
Sarah
go.
Jane, you're right. Yes.
3, 2, 1, play. That's a good point, David. No establishing shot. Oh, bye, Andrew. Thanks for stopping by.
Tell me hi.
He doesn't look high.
Dumbass.
He's the evil Cisco. It's ancient Bajaran pornography. Look. Dun, dun, dun.
I thought we had talked about this. I thought it also had to do with the show that he had finished up before.
Yeah, he had the goatee and a shaved head when he played Hawk on Spencer for Hire, and that was sort of
His look.
his best known look, and I think the creators wanted to change that up.
Yeah, didn't want to be like, oh, it's that guy from da da da.
It's the guy from Hawk. Yeah,
They wanted
yeah.
to keep this role distinct.
Yeah. Although I will say, I remember because he grows the goatee, he introduces the goatee in this episode, and then starting in season 4, he shaves his head, so he becomes what I call Final Cisco. And it's basically the exact same look that he had when he was Hawk. And I remember like me and my friends at the time when the show was on, who watched the show and who also like knew him as an actor and remembered him from Spencer for Hire, like when he shows up with like the shaved head and the goatee, there was like real excitement. It was like, oh, it was, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Keelan, I think it's more the case of in the 90s, he's like the one black guy. And a white actor doesn't have that role of being the black guy in the show.
Yeah. This is going to be like the Woodwright shop.
I want it to be authentic.
Exactly. 255 AD, that, I mean, you may be right. I don't remember hearing that specifically, but I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure it was an issue for somebody. Could you both stop being racist at each other, please?
Because I want to.
Because I'm the goddamn commander of this station. I'm both of your boss, and I will do what I want. 255 AD, yes, a spaceship made of wood. I love it. I love it.
Nerd.
It's a totally preposterous, impossible thing, and I love it. And they just do it like it's no big deal. Like the only time it comes up is just now when O'Brien says, "Why not use a laser cutter to cut the wood?" Like nobody says, "You're gonna make a spaceship out of wood? Are you fucking insane?" Like nobody says that. It's the hex. It's the hex field on the satellite of love.
Yeah.
Tim Tam, the clock bit is from Dramatis Personae, the episode from season 1 where they get possessed by like alien consciousness. And it's expensive. Oh, my dead wife. Right, I forgot. And other people.
Okay, I missed something. Why can't he wait?
I don't know. I guess he just wants to go. Maybe it's something about his schedule.
Big shot.
Yep.
Just you. Interesting. Yeah, Zelia, I'm right there with you. I was thinking full of himself, Caitlin, but that works too.
David Corden, not necessarily. A novel is a different form than a streaming series. You just screw that hose onto your.
You'll get the hang of it. Great.
Just make sure you close the door until you get the hang of it. Yeah, Kane, I think perhaps the first explicitly recognized bathroom in a Star Trek show. Yeah, Azalea. Yeah, you're right there with me. Same thing.
Nobody pestering me. What? There's all kinds of sound on the sailing. Oh my God. I'm just shutting up now. I do assume it was quiet. Oh.
I killed some people the last time I went to visit Grandpa on Earth. I'm wanted in New Zealand.
Among other things.
Jake, this is pretty raunchy.
And that's just the lemon. I saved the grapefruit version for my special friends.
Oh, I love Odo.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Oh, gravy.
Denied.
There you go. There you go. Can this be the end of this plot, please? Honestly, yeah, if I was there, I'd mess with them, but I'm not there. I just have to suffer through it. Hmm. Ha ha ha.
Oh, hi, Jeff. Glad you could make it. Uh-oh. There's doings a
Dun dun
transpiring.
dun.
Some of them, I'm sure.
No, some of them died.
Some of them died.
I mean,
The, the only reason we
if
haven't,
we're comparing it to, like, 18th century sailing,
yeah.
yep.
The only reason we haven't found more of their corpses floating in their dead spaceships is because space is just really big.
Really big. Are you kidding me? Ooh. I still hate you. Ooh. I'm not sure that's beer or supposed to be beer. It's probably iced tea, to be honest.
Well, no, I think it's supposed to be whiskey.
Yeah, but it's probably
Yeah.
iced tea.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's
Yeah.
what we use
Yeah.
to get that authentic reaction, unsweetened.
Oh, I love unsweetened tea. I love unsweetened iced tea. First time in a hammock, Jake.
Radical bacon, I love it.
My
Like
wee
a called wee
bairns.
bairns.
Oh, my poor bairns.
Oh. Oh. Ah. More nonsense.
Uh-oh.
And they never come back.
Thank you for joining us for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the final episode.
What? Deep Space Nine's still there. We just get a new commander.
It's just so easy for you, isn't it?
Well, it's beautiful and we're going to die.
Quick, eject. No, wait.
Now for more nonsense.
Exactly.
Maybe you guys are just both hallucinating. It could happen.
What was in those rations?
How long have they been sitting? Whoops. Or when?
Yeah.
Just throw in some time travel, why don't we?
It's Star Trek. It could happen.
You know what they need? A panic button.
Yeah.
Aw, him pouting. The poor commander.
And not dying.
And we're not dead yet. I mean, it's not smoking, so that's good.
Take the batteries out and put them back in.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Or our corpses, maybe. I mean, we've never found any of the, dead Bajorans. I knew I didn't want to come on this stupid trip, Dad.
Go for it, Julian.
I just rub it in there, lady.
Oh, are you sensitive about that? I didn't know.
Well, wasn't it like years ago? I mean, that's a long time. Yeah, that's just what he needs. Puff up that ego even more. Oh my God. He's going to be even more insufferable.
Oh, eventually.
You don't know that. That we don't die.
That we don't die.
Scout's
Because I
honor.
don't want to leave. Because I don't want to leave the show, Dad.
They have free saltines in the break room.
I don't want to. I don't want to pull a Will Wheaton and fuck my acting career by leaving the Star Trek show. Besides, my character's well written. Uh-oh. Azalea, yeah, yeah. This is the first allusion to Cassidy.
Nah. That we just happened to find. Just now. Never knew about
The
No, Tim
end.
Tam, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a nice guy. He seems like he's sort of having to bite his tongue and, you
Don't
know,
want to say this, but I'm going to
yeah,
say it because that's
exactly.
my job.
They're making me say this. This is not my choice.
Yay.
So, what did you think?
I don't. So why is it one of your favorites?
Um, Mostly for the A plot, for the Cisco and Jake story. I love. There's something like very sort of old fashioned, like pulp sci-fi about just the idea of I'm going to build a spaceship with hand tools and push it out into the galaxy, and it's gonna, there's just it's very. It's very not Star Trek, you know what I mean? Like Star Trek is very in love with like technology, and this is more like, again, it's like I mentioned the Woodwright Shop, which is a show I used to watch like all the time as a kid, where a guy would build stuff, with like tools that people would have had in, the 18th century. Um, and it's kind of like that. Uh, I love the character stuff with Ben and Jake, the father son stuff. I think works really well. Um, it's a nice little ending where it turns out that they make it all the way to Cardassia.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and I also, I mean, I always forget until I watch it. I always forget about the B plot with Julian, but I love that too. Like the Julian stuff is wonderful,
Really?
really funny. Oh, I love it. I get the impression you didn't care for it. Let's talk about that. Why
No.
did you not like the Julian stuff?
God, he's always so full of himself.
But
He's
he's
always
not.
so...
But he's not. This episode shows you that he actually is very insecure. I mean, yeah, he is. Yeah, he
No.
does have an ego.
No,
Yes, absolutely.
he thinks he sees that there's definitely it's not quite a sense of entitlement that the valedictory spot was his and she like got it from him, but that if it wasn't for that, and everybody else brings it up, that what is it, primary ganglion, anyway,
The preganglionic fiber that he
and he
mistook for a
thinks it's a
postganglionic nerve.
post-ganglionic nerve.
Yeah.
And he's just so bitter about it. I'm just like, God, dude, it was freaking years ago.
Okay, but the whether or not he is behaving reasonably isn't the point. The point is it tells us something about him. It tells us that, yeah, he is a very egotistical guy, but underneath that, there are still things that he is very insecure about.
I don't see insecurity there. Like that's not what insecurity is. Like he's not.
Here we go.
What? I'm sorry, you're using words that don't mean what you are trying to
well,
use them to
no, I
mean.
just, you go ahead, please. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't see any sort of vulnerability from him. I mean,
You don't.
aside from the, you know, like he doesn't understand how she could pass him by. And apparently they'd never interacted. So why would she know who he is? Like, he's like, you know,
he
I was
assumed that she had seen his speech at graduation.
Yeah, he assumed.
Well, but okay, but whether he should have assumed or not isn't the point. Like, the point is he did.
Yeah, he assumed, and not only that, assumed that, you know, that she would have any interest in approaching him. Like, he didn't approach her at that point. He just assumed that she would approach him. Because I don't know why. I don't know.
I feel like you're doing this thing that you do sometimes where you judge the character of the character as though they're a real person. And like that, and I don't get that. Like, yeah, he probably, it probably doesn't like reflect necessarily well on him as a person if it, you know, he was like preoccupied with this other person, or if he was like bothered all these years by the fact that she got to be valedictorian and he was salutatorian. Like, it doesn't like necessarily, you know, it's not like a good look.
I have enough, you know, annoying people in real life. I don't need to deal with them in fiction.
Yeah, Azalea, exactly. And Dana, you do this a lot. You criticize fictional characters as though they're real people. And I mean, the fact that he is preoccupied with her and he's like nervous to see her. And then when he finally comes face to face with her, she walks right by him because she doesn't even know who he is. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's the point, you know. And if you say you don't see vulnerability in him, like, I mean, you know, you see whatever you see, and your reaction to it is your reaction to it, and it's completely valid. But I mean, you don't think he seems vulnerable when Dax just drops her name at the beginning and he like chases after Dax to talk to her about it? Like, that doesn't seem like a guy who is, you know, who is insecure about something.
Not so, Azalea, not so much by depicting it, but I know that there's not a lot of continuity. So if we saw a change in him as a result of this, I have exactly zero hope that that's going to happen.
Well, I think we've seen changes in him already. I mean, look at the way he interacts with Dax in this episode. I mean, in the first season, he was chasing after Dax like a puppy dog. And in their scenes together in this episode, like when she shows up in the beginning, when he's chatting up Lita in Quarks, like he's visibly annoyed that she's there. You know, like that's a very different type of interaction than we ever saw them have in the earlier seasons. Like, they have a totally different dynamic now than they ever had before.
They do. And he isn't as overtly entitled as he was back in season 1.
Right.
Yeah, Azalea Jane, and some of that is, again, how it's going to play out in future episodes. But I didn't feel a closure to it. And I felt it walked up to that line, like the last scene with him and whoever it was, when he invites her to, you know, to come in and see his research. That I think that approaches it, but and I mean, you could also say, you know, you don't want to not every interaction is going to be a significant changing moment.
Yeah, I think 255 AD describes it really well too. That Julian assumed that she must have felt the same way about him as he felt about her. That it was like a mutual thing, and from her side, like it just wasn't at all. Which again, I think is part of what makes that story so good, um, and funny in a lot of ways. It's sort of like the comic, like letting the air out of the balloon, because it's like he's built this up so much in his mind, and when she's finally there on the station, it's like she doesn't even know who he is at first. you
Okay.
know um,
No, kind of what 255 AD says, I think that's exactly what I was saying. He's so focused on this is how he sees things. So this is how things must have been. And
sure, yeah,
that's, yeah, well, I mean, that's sort of, I mean, like I said, I didn't dislike it, but that particular plot, I was just like, it's okay. David C. Drake, I don't know that I'd call myself, I enjoy it, and I'm enjoying this.
Snake Big Cat, I like that. Anyway, sorry. Too bad Raul Julia never made a guest appearance on Star Trek.
But yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to do as much as I'd like them to do, as much development as I'd like them to do in an episode. And it may also be that we're watching this every other week, maybe. I don't know.
That could be part of it.
And also, you're looking back at this, knowing who he becomes in, seasons 4 and 5. And I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I
want to mention one other thing about it, but first, 255 AD has asked this a couple of times in the chat. I don't know. I can't remember if they say that the Pennington School is specifically only for creative writing, or just that it has like a creative writing program, because the universities with creative writing programs are, not unusual at all. I mean,
right.
So, but I mean, if it is like just a writing school and nothing more, I mean, yeah, that's kind of unusual. But it's Star Trek, so maybe they have those. I will say, when Deep Space Nine was originally on, when I was a teenager, like that was when I first discovered that I wanted to be a writer and that I had like an interest and an aptitude for creative writing. So Jake, discovering the same thing at around the same time, like that was pretty cool for me. I gave me something else to identify with Jake. I was like, oh, he wants to be a writer. I want to be a writer too, So I thought it was cool. The Bashir and O'Brien stuff, I also really like. This is one of those, this is an episode that lets us see that they are becoming very good friends. And what I like about it is I think it's the first and I think only time so far in Star Trek where you have been able to see two characters who were not friends in the beginning actually become friends. We've seen other close friendships with characters in Star Trek shows, like Geordi and Data are depicted as being like best friends in Star Trek TNG, but they just kind of are. Like the writers just sort of decided one day, like Geordi and Data are best friends, and then they just were. We didn't see like anything develop, but they just were. And with Julian and Miles,
I liked Miles's dialogue.
Yeah,
I liked Miles's dialogue when he was saying, people either love you or they hate you. Man, when we first met, I hated you. Now, I don't. And so, like, I love when there's something like that, what's not said. And I said this kind of last week with North and South. I love the power of what's not said.
Yeah. And I like how that's a scene that could have been in any show. You know, like that was just two human beings relating to each other. There was no Star Trek stuff in there. There was no techno babble. There were no like references to planets or aliens or whatever. It was just two people having a conversation that probably people have had with each other for hundreds, thousands of years and will continue to have for, you know, hundreds or thousands more years if there are people around, you know, and they just get to have a scene as people, which I thought was wonderful. Yeah, and yeah, the implication is that Miles loves him, and because Miles is Miles, he doesn't want
Oh
to come out
yeah.
and say that. Yeah, he doesn't want to
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
but
That's
now
why
I
I like
love
that.
you. Yeah, yeah,
It's just like it's
yeah,
like, you know, and I think also just his, you know, sort of, I think he realizes that in the moment that his delivery of it is really good too. Yeah,
yeah,
I liked that a lot.
yeah. It's, you know, well, and Colm Meaney, who plays O'Brien, is such a good actor. And because O'Brien is the type of character he is, he usually gets stuck with, you know, the techno babble and the made up, you know, Star Trek stuff. And it's nice when he gets to play a scene where
Yeah.
it's just a scene, and you know, he absolutely nails it because he's great.
Um, I did like the bit with Julian and Dax in the beginning, them needling each other. I mean, her needling him,
Oh
but then
yes,
the data pad with "Go away."
go away. And then Dax like asking him questions that she clearly knows the answer to, you know, like, oh, isn't Elizabeth Lenz on the Lexington? Didn't you go to medical school with her? Like she's totally just poking him. It's like, you know
Yeah, and
this.
apparently,
Yes.
like,
Why are you?
everybody knows about this. Yeah.
So I'm glad you at least enjoyed some of it.
Hmm.
Would you like to play
There
a
were some
little?
things that I
Oh,
was
yeah.
waiting for it to go somewhere, and then it didn't. Like Jake's bit with the girl. It's like, okay, he just changed his mind. Okay, okay,
They do kind of drop that. They do. He just, well,
yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, I guess the implication is he gets the news about being accepted to Pennington and he wants to talk to his dad about it. So that's what makes him decide to
And
go. But the stuff with
like,
the girlfriend kind of
yeah,
gets dropped.
it was like he gets this message on the data pad, and he gets a smile. And like, oh, it's the girl. And then he walks off and like nothing. I'm like, okay, so that wasn't the girl. And then, you know, it finds out. I'm like, okay, it was that. So, um, yeah. I kind of wish that I think it would have moved more smoothly since he brings up a girl for his dad. If
Right.
like maybe he'd gotten cold feet about her visit, or
Yeah.
she'd
No,
said
yeah.
she couldn't come or something like that, because that would have
Or if they had
provided
tied it
him
in
talking to
somehow.
his dad
Yeah.
about that would have
Yeah.
provided a great, you know, great connection for her, for him to say, so you're right, it is important for us to be, you know, his dad giving him some advice about, you know, dealing with women and how these relationships are important. And but you know, you've got your whole life ahead of you, and him saying, yeah, these relationships are important and you still have your whole life ahead of you. And you know, again, but I mean, you always criticize me for, you know, saying it's not what it could have been. But I'm sorry, I'm like, it could have been this. I would have really, that would have,
You
you know,
are,
given it
yeah.
a lot of cohesion.
You
Yeah.
are a
And
you are a compulsive rewriter,
I,
which I think I remember when we were talking about something, and I said, you know, when I'm functioning as a critic, one of my rules is don't try to rewrite the thing that you're reviewing. And you were like, why not?
yeah.
Like just not your attitude remotely. Like why not? If I can
if,
think
if,
of a
if,
better
if
idea, why
part of
wouldn't
my
I say
criticism is this would have been better, I think that's a valid critique.
it?
Uh, which
um
words? This would have been better.
yeah, 255 AD about the writing question. Did it feel like Ben's writing advice was aimed at kids, like your writing sucks now because you have no life experience, but keep at it? I mean,
No.
It sounds like something that a father would say to a child, that a parent would say to a child. I mean, you the Jake is supposed to be about what, 15 or 16 at this point. So his writing, judged by adult standards, is probably not very good. But it's also important to him, and it's at least good enough that he gets accepted into this writing program to go and study and get better. So, Cisco's not going to say, "Oh, Jake, Jesus." He's going to be encouraging, and he doesn't
Well,
want to
not
blow
only that,
smoke up
I
his ass.
disagree.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
It's the bit that it's, oh, Kane 20C. That's a good point. That there was no girl.
I thought that was yeah.
He was waiting to hear back from the university. Like he hadn't
And that
heard
was just
back
his
and he wanted to
excuse.
get the letter. And once he
Yeah.
got the thing, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually.
That's an interesting interpretation. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think it works.
I think Ben's writing advice. I didn't get the bit about no life experience. Your writing sucks now is because you don't have a lot of writing experience. Like,
well,
yeah, you've been writing a lot, maybe, but like, you've only just started recently.
He did say you're writing about things that you haven't experienced yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And remember, unless you've joined the Maquis and you haven't told me. Sequence 77. I think there's a difference between pointing out that a piece of writing doesn't work for you and including in that like your own proposal for what they should have done. To me personally, if I'm reviewing something and that's the mode, if I'm in critic mode, I don't think it's fair to say, well, not only did this not work, but here's what they should have done instead. I just don't think that's a critic's job. And I think that's not really fair because you can imagine anything and decide to yourself that it would have been better. You're comparing imaginary stories to something that actually exists and saying my imaginary story would have been better. I just feel like it's a little, no offense, Dana, it's a little egotistical, and doesn't really bring anything else out about the work that you're supposed to be reviewing. Now rewriting stuff, it can be fun, but I just think if you're trying to review something, I don't think that's a critic's job.
Yeah, Caitlin, if you figured out how to turn that off, that'd be great. Usually that's about the point where I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I just, if what's going on in my head is better than like what I'm reading or watching, then I'm just like, okay, we'll go with that instead. Bye. So yeah, Wordle. And I found
you found the thing. Oh, sweet. So let's play Wordle and then wrap this up so I can watch a movie with Dana and none of you get to see it. Oh, that unless you find it on YouTube too, and then you can just watch it on your own time, which would be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Wordle.
Right, I'm going to do my best, but I apologize if I get any of the letters wrong.
You are operating under diminished capacity.
Mm-hmm. Like literally, I heard something about the Maquis, but like I'm literally missing some dialogue.
It's the first time you've seen it, and we were kind of talking over it from time to time too. So it's not, Okay, so for those of you who have never seen us play Wordle before, the way this works is Dana does not actually see the Wordle board. This is today's Wordle from the New York Times, and Dana is only going by what I describe to her. If you have not played today's Wordle and you want to play along and put in your guesses and whatnot in the live chat, we welcome that. But please, if you have already solved today's Wordle, do not give away the answer. Okay, so your starter word is, or your first starter word is?
Heart.
Heart. Heart. Let's see what we get. Well, we get an R in the right place, and that's it.
All right, well, let's go with lions then.
Let's go with lions. This is Dana's patented 2-part starter system. So, okay, lions gives us an I, but not in the right place. So we know that the fourth letter is R, and we know that there is an I somewhere other than the second letter Or of course the fourth letter. So, and no H, no E, no A, no T, no L, no O, no N, and no S. We've really been having rotten luck with the Wheel of Fortune letters.
I'm telling you, they're getting down to the bottom of the barrel.
They're like frantically scouring dictionaries for more 5-letter words. We're running out.
Can we try like Portuguese?
Lots of languages have 5-letter words. Come on.
Yeah. We have to keep the Roman alphabet. All right, so R and something.
I.
No, at the end of the word. I'm thinking
end.
letter clusters at this point.
Okay, so yeah, and there's no S, so it can't be RS.
Or RT.
It could be
or
RD.
RD would work.
RN. It could be RD. That's a pretty...
well, it can't be third, but it could be IRD. Something IRD.
That's true. It could be something IRD.
And we haven't tried, as Ailey Jane does point out, we haven't tried U or Y.
That's true.
Would UIRD work? I mean, because the I has got to be that third letter, because it's not going to come after the R. I guess it could be the first letter. But I'm thinking it's
IRD. What would
Otherwise, we need a consonant cluster at the beginning.
Yeah. I can't think of any UIRD words.
No L.
Yeah, no L.
Golly gee willikers. No L. Mother of pearl. Oh, God. This one might be it.
Well, maybe, but let's not.
Caitlin L points out quirk. That would work. QUIRK.
Quirk? Oh, hey.
Yeah, I posited quirk
in
the chat. I was like, I don't know. Put quirk. That will, and that, if not, that'll give us some more letters to look at.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So let's try quirk.
Thanks, Caitlin.
QUIRC. Yeah, Caitlin, this is it.
No, K. Not a C at the end. QUIRK.
I said K. QUIRK.
You said C. I swear to God.
I did. Well, I meant K. I typed K. QUIRK. Quirk.
No, radical bacon. It has to be UFDRI because we knew the I is in there.
Quirk is it? Don't get too excited. It's quirk.
Yay, victory.
That's awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. That was great. Huzzah.
Okay, see, that was it. Although I shouldn't have freaked out like that because we had a bunch more guesses.
I did say C. Okay, I'll trust you.
If anybody is doing that, Azalea, it's Steve, because I haven't seen it. I mean, he could just be lying to all of us for all I know. Yay, us. Hey.
Hey.
I have a thing to say.
Yes.
I have a book.
That's right. You have a live stream, a
I
special live
do.
stream coming up on your channel on Saturday. It's not a Saturday 6 Saturday.
No, I have somebody coming to my channel to talk to
Yes.
me.
Yes,
Yep.
tell us all about it.
So, the author of this book, Hedrick Nichols, we're gonna talk about implicit bias in education. Sort of essentially how critical race theory is actually right. But we don't talk about that in education. But the idea that, you know, we all have biases. We don't, when we meet someone or encounter someone, you know, we don't know everything about them, but we have to make decisions about how we're going to interact with them. And we do the best that we can with the limited information that we've got, as well as all of our prior experience and all of the information that our culture has told us about these types of people. See, Azalea, you need to do Wordle with us, because then it's like the collective. We're all working together. So we're going to be talking about how to become aware of your own biases and be open to new information and new ideas, and as well as how to encourage others to do the same, and specifically in the context of education. So she is also an educator. We're going to be talking about how that affects the classroom and education policy and stuff like that, and what that means for the future of education.
It sounds really
fun.
cool. And
But
have
I'm a
you set
teaching
up
nerd, so
have you set up the live stream on your
I have,
channel yet?
although it may be hard to find because I don't. Oh, it's in the playlist for
I
One
got it.
Teacher's Thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I'm going to add it to the
Ooh,
description of this very live stream right now. So after this is over, folks can
check it
just go there.
out.
Yeah.
I don't actually have a description for it. I made a thumbnail, but I don't have a description for it yet. Homebody, I don't know who Bram is. And it's interesting because I thought I knew who you were talking about, but then I realized, nope, that's Brom. So yeah. And not just that, Acelia Jane, but like you'll notice, and like you're like, my fingers are still a little pink. Is that just the color my fingers are? Or is there still, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell. Yeah, you do the best that you can. I think I'm I got some weird reactions on Twitter from people when somebody asked, do you apologize when somebody points out a mistake that you made? I said, oh, it depends. I mean, if to my knowledge, to my understanding, if the mistake didn't hurt anybody, then no, there's no apology needed. You know, I'll say, you know, thank you so much for helping me realize that I was wrong. And people are like, what? Just like, is this is not a thing? This is not okay? I don't know. Okay, homebody, understand. I've heard it expressed 25580. I've heard it expressed the other way around. Don't write what you don't know. And I didn't, because I'm not feeling well. And also I was really not feeling well yesterday. I didn't go to, I had my play reading group met last night. And this past month, we read a play called Ona, which is about Ona Judge, who was one of Washington's slaves. And she ran away and she escaped. And it's written by a white dude. And the dialogue is like super expository. And I'm just like, so, and one of our questions for discussion was, what do you think prompted this writer to write the story? And I'm just like, you know, I'd like to know that. I'd really like to know, because a lot of it just feels like the characters are just telling us these historical things that happened. Yeah. Like telling each other these historical things that have happened. I'm like, Okay, I'm just gonna. Why are they talking like this? Why are
A
they
lot of,
interacting
as
this
you
way? They're all
know.
oh, and maybe ego, but maybe also being interested in the subject matter and knowing that stories are much more engaging than just facts. Wanting to share this in a way that draws people in and makes them want to learn more on their own.
Yeah.
Okay, so even so, oh
Yeah, there's a balance you have to strike. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, it can't just be characters lecturing at each other.
don't write a story that belongs to somebody else. Like, not cool.
Yeah. I think
But
that
if you're
might
going to
be
go,
what 255 AD is getting at with saying ego. It's like you recognize that this is a story that needs to be told, but you don't recognize that maybe you aren't the ideal teller of that story, you know?
that's hard because like if nobody else is writing that story,
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you write that story and it's not your story to tell, then maybe that will encourage somebody else to do it better.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
They might look at it and go, "Oh no, this can't be it."
No, honey, no, honey, no. So yeah.
I remember I saw an interview with Steven Spielberg once where he said he was asked like if he had any regrets about his movie career or if there was anything that looking back he would do differently, and he said, "What? Yes."
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Azalea Jane. Do you know who you sound like? Do you know who you sound like? That's some Julian language right back there. Race and jitter. Yes. I was at the doctor yesterday. Flu and COVID test, both negative. But yeah, just
wonderful.
Steve, thank you for letting me interject there. Please continue.
Of course. But so Steven Spielberg said that now he would not want to direct The Color Purple, that he would pass that. He would want to be a producer maybe, but he would want to find a black filmmaker to actually direct the movie, because he feels like, even though he's not ashamed of that movie, but he feels like someone else with that lived experience and a closer connection to that story might have been able to bring something to it that he couldn't.
That he wasn't.
Yeah. So shall we bring down the curtain?
Yeah.
So don't forget, everybody, don't forget the charity links, charitylinks.page. Don't forget Dana's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dana Coldares, and also Dana's Patreon, patreon.com/Dana Coldares. And also don't forget, once again, her live stream on Dana's channel this Saturday at 6 p.m. I have linked it in the description of this live stream, so you can go there and hit the notification button, and you'll get a little reminder when it's time for it to go live, and we can all gather in the chat and watch. It'll be great, and it sounds like it'll be a really interesting and important discussion. So that's it. Don't forget patreon.com/Steve Shives for me, and also the join button if you want to just become a channel member.
Ding the bell, click the button, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
And leave comments.
Yes, especially if you're watching Dana's videos. Comments are good for me too, but she loves comments.
I do.
All right. And we'll be back next week to watch episode 2 of North and South. And then we'll be back the week after that for our next Deep Space Nine, which will be Family Business, which is a Ferengi episode.
You think?
I know, right?
I figured that out. You said the title. I'm like, I bet that's about those guys with the ears.
The fellows with the ears. Yes,
also, Steve, don't forget about charitylinks.page because it's important to help people.
Yes, charitylinks.page. I said that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's so good. You're not at 100%. We all understand. All right.
Caitlin, 255 AD, I'm going to jump in. I'm with Caitlin on this. Some of the characters but just don't have them telling each other about explaining it to each other. that's usually not a good idea. Sometimes a little bit of that can work, but it's few and far between. So
Yeah.
So
Alrighty. Thanks for watching,
apparently
everybody.
it's a great episode, I hear.
Yeah, it is a good episode, but you will make your own judgment.
Always do.
You always do.
You always do.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.